Hi guys, this is Mac here, and I welcome you all to my YouTube channel, which is called Mac Vlogs. So my guest for today is Ritjana Ceveli, all the way from Dubai. She is running an international company for business, which is called ERC International. So why I've got my new guest for today's session is to educate the people around the world that how the job market is changing because of COVID-19. So let us welcome my guest for today. Good evening, Ritjana. How are you?
Hi, good evening, Masur. Thank you so much for having me with you today and for sharing this broadcast around to your fan base. My name is Ritjana, and I run today a company called ERC International. ERC International is
Mm-hmm.
currently operating in 3 locations. We focus predominantly in emerging markets. We started our story here in Dubai, and then from Dubai, we expanding into other locations. At the moment, we probably service clients in around 12 geographies, but our plan is in the next 5 years to actually grow physically our physical presence across these markets. When it comes to UAE, we are known or we have made a name for ourselves in Emiratisation, where we have helped employ a lot of females Emiratis as well as males. But
I see.
because I'm a female myself, it kind of helps, to assist and support other women being hired and employed.
I see. That's wonderful to hear from you, Ritjana. That's really awesome. So, would you like to tell my followers and your followers that how is the recruitment market at the moment functioning and performing in Dubai? Whether they're on the upwards or do you feel that there are a lot of changes to be done? So, what do you have to say on that?
Sure. So, as I mentioned to you, we operate from Dubai. We cover the region, so we do a lot of work also in Saudi Arabia. What we have seen in the past, I would say 6 to 9 months,
Mhm.
with 6 months being, the COVID situation and the impact, we have seen a move towards, I mean, the employment never really stopped. Even in the during the lockdown, we were still working. We're working on some mandates. On startup technology, FMCG sectors were still moving. Then healthcare kicked in, supply chain kicked in. So at the moment, I would say that most of the jobs that we have been exposed to, at least, and what you see comes from the technology space. A lot of startup coming from the Gulf, especially the ones that have managed to raise funds, are looking today for top level developers, programmers, coders, and so on. FMCG is still moving. That has not really stopped. E-commerce, so even the retail space, which saw a slowdown and still is facing a slowdown, has moved to e-commerce. And on that space, there are jobs being opened and so on. So I would say that yes, there has been changes in the recruitment trends, but it has not stopped, right? So in spite of the numbers of layoffs, there are certain industries where the to hire is still ongoing.
Okay. So can you tell a bit more, like what are the sectors in Middle East and in Dubai which are hiring, which are on the higher rise? Like what are the sectors and the industries do you feel are the mostly less
Sure.
affected and they're hiring the staff for their recruitment purposes?
Yeah. So we are currently a lot of recruitment is happening on the healthcare space and pharmaceuticals, which is to be expected. And
Mm-hmm.
however, having said that, there's a talent crunch, right? Because especially with the borders being closed and only just
I
lately
see.
opening, it has been challenging to try and poach and move talents around. So we have seen that on the technology space as well. There's been startups which raise millions of dollars and are currently out there looking for workforce and people. So that's another area we have seen. FMCG has been moving, so anything to do with brand managers, product managers, and so on. That is something that has been ongoing. Artificial intelligence is gaining ground as well. So I would say tech jobs, healthcare, FMCG, these are some of the moving, and pharmaceuticals as well, are some of the moving trends at the moment.
I see. So, as we know that we need certain skills which we need to be required, and as because of COVID-19. So, what are those skills you feel that the post-COVID the people should acquire to
Sure.
update themselves so that they're not left behind in the market when they are being approached or they're being recruited? So, what type of skills do you feel that the talent which you might be looking and your company might be looking for people around the world should acquire and keep themselves ready? What skills would those be?
So what we have seen actually happening in organizations is that there's been a total reconstruction, I would say, of org charts in some cases. So a job that
Hmm.
before probably was being handled by one head, now the same head has to carry two, right? So what we are seeing, without going into details, is literally a reskilling and upskilling of certain skills. So for each of us, irrespective of what we do in our lives, in order to become compatible in this world post-COVID, we need to reskill ourselves, right? And four areas are very important to be able to be digital. So we each have the ability to understand what digitalization today requires of us, how to use a system, how to use a CRM, and so on, right? So that is something that we need to have in order to actually become attractive, in post-COVID world. Another area is, the cognitive skills, which is the thinking out of the box. How do I do this today in my circumstances, sitting from home, when I don't have, some pieces plugged in, but I have still to deliver, right? So these are things that it requires a certain development in order to be able to deliver. Then the social and also emotional skills kicks in, especially in an environment where you are working remotely, right? That will help you build teams, that will help you to collaborate and cooperate with each other in order to create the end product and to be able to deliver it, and also to raise your customers satisfaction at the end of the day. So these are some of the things, but most importantly, I think that people need to bear in mind that unless and if you are adapting and you are resilient, you are not going to actually be able to become a hot property after this post-COVID situation. So these are some of the skills, and they vary from industry to industry, from segment or function to function, but ultimately all four of them are within us, irrespective of what we do, and they have to be acknowledged as such in order for us to be able to upgrade ourselves. And organizations themselves are going through that level of restating. We are seeing, surveys, floating around, whether that's, McKinsey or LinkedIn, and there is definitely a need for reskilling. And in some cases, some organizations have to probably reskill in full, a large percentage of their current workforce. In some others, it will only apply partially, right? But the focus is always been at the leadership level, management level, in order to create this, closing of gaps, skill gaps, and in 3-4 years time or 5 years time, to reach that level of, innovation, customer satisfaction, so that the business can grow to the next level.
Amazing. That was really informative about whatever you have mentioned now. The thing is that a lot of companies, they don't want to let go their staff because of the reasons that they have been working with them for quite long time, so they have that attachment with that company. So it's really difficult to let them go. So what do you have to say, and what do you think that the remote working, which has been happening now because of the COVID situation, do you think it's ready to stay, or do you think it's really difficult, basically because what happens, like when you're not going to let your staff
Yeah.
members to leave, you want to be intact with them, so you can give them an opportunity and give them the chance that, okay, we're not letting you go, but you can work from your homes and you can work remotely with us, and we will pay you online rather than you have to come to our office. So what do you have to say about remotely working is effective? Is it effective? If it is, and you see a lot of sessions happening, whether it's on the YouTube, the LinkedIn, that is
Absolutely.
supporting online working remotely. What is your views and thoughts on that?
See, I'm a strong believer, along with the rest of the tech segment, that remote working works, right?
I,
And even in my industry, it works. I have remote teams sitting, around the world today. Yes, it is challenging, right? I'm not saying that it is not. However, if you put the right SOPs in place, um,
mhm,
people can follow, and they will follow.
I see.
However, having said all this, we cannot apply remote working for every industry. It would be impossible. You cannot work remotely um, if you're a doctor and you need to see a patient, right? So,
Hmm.
so it becomes, there are certain, industries that still cannot really, for whatever reason, cannot apply this concept. And some part of it also, it's rightly because, especially if this is sensitive work that you're conducting, with compliances in place, it's very difficult for anyone to allow you to work remotely, right? Because, now you're crossing countries and borders, and legality that do not work or cannot be enforced. So, remote working works in some industries, technology being probably the most active one. And this is also one area where we have seen are seeing bulks of like mandates coming from all of the Asia currently. We're doing work in Vietnam, we're doing work in Jordan, we're doing work in Kuwait, asking for teams sitting in Eastern Europe, let's say, or in Europe, working from home. So, but this is in technology space, right? So, I believe it works, but you need to be careful in how it is treated. You need to have the right standards in place of in processes so that it can work. But it is not applied and cannot be applied to every single sector out there, right?
Hmm.
With this in mind, I also would like to inform you and everyone who's following today that we did a partnership earlier on in the summertime with Remote Exec, which is another platform exactly expressing the same vision, but focuses on the executive workforce, right? So the executive levels where people can literally pick up projects and find projects. And this is a trend that it will be going. And I think that even today, a lot of multinationals are slowly starting to move in that direction, where we will see a lot more of contingent workers, so workers working on project basis, could be remotely, could be in their premises, but not full-time workers, right? And this is something that it's happening already, and it will continue, especially for the businesses which employ hundreds of thousands of workforce,
Hmm.
that we see today. It is slow. I mean, it is cutting down from there and moving more into project based, and that also can mean remote working. You could be servicing a client in US, and yourself you could be sitting in Jordan today, for example. So yeah.
I will I will just add another short questions related to remote working is that is it cost effective or it's not cost effective if people
See,
are doing
it's
work
it
remotely?
can be cost effective, depending on cost effective if it is related, let's say, to the cost of the worker, right? But ultimately,
Mhm.
it can also cost you if a lot more in terms of time and quality if the processes are not in place, right? So I would say that if everything you know matches up, then it becomes cost effective. Otherwise, it's your reputation, your brand on the line, and you are trusting it to somebody who's sitting in a geography that is completely far away from anything that has to do with that service that is being provided. So so it can cost you also a client, right? So it is cost effective, but in the right way if managed.
Okay. How important it is for the gender diversity in this global world for you, and why is it such a hot topic to decide and select between the two genders when it comes to different professions? Why is it so important?
See, I mean, today we have noticed that, especially with the multinationals, there is a move towards the gender diversity, right? And certain policies being placed in. The reason for that, and this is something that we are also at ERC working on. We have created a desk which is, female executive search, and we focus on female hirings, mostly
I
at the
see.
leadership level and also board level. Now, why does that become so important? I mean, if we see historically, you have more women that finish university than you have men. However, these numbers do not really replicate when they may replicate when they start the career, but then at tier one management level, you'll see that there's a fewer women. So for every 100 men that get promoted to managers, you only have about 73 women, right? And then as you move
Oh,
upwards, these
it's a big
numbers correct. So
it's a
as you
big
move
margin.
upwards, this number starts
Mhm.
to slow down at tier two management director level. Interestingly, today, what you tend to see is that at leadership level, so we're talking
Mhm.
C levels or VP levels, you have 4 times as many women dropping out or exiting the career ladder than you have men. And
I see.
why does this sometimes happen? Um, some can claim it's cultural or family related decisions, but also you have to see from the perspective of being the only woman sitting in a board filled with men. I mean, it's not really a very comfortable seat to have, right? So if we can change this, if we can change and work alongside HRs to create solutions around that, I think that we will see more women moving towards the tier two or three of management director levels than what we have currently. And that is partly
Mhm.
because even sometimes these organizations do believe that they have the right set of procedures in place. But
I see.
if you interview women, you'll hear a different story. So this is just what is happening. And because of this, what is happening, we believe that it should change. It can change. It's not about the quota that you are creating, right? It has to
Mhm.
be a fair system. And this is what we're striving for. I don't personally believe in quotas. I believe in skills, and skills
Mhm.
should be regarded fairly, irrespective of gender.
Mhm. In this global world where the competition is extreme, but it's very competitive as well, but it should be equalized for male and female in the gender wise. So when the competition is equal to both, don't you think that any industry can acquire any gender according to the situations rather than just they have to separate them because of their gender? Do you feel that?
I believe that people should be able to be hired based on their skills, irrespective of the gender. However,
Uh-huh.
if you have, a role that is being presented to you, have a mandate you're working on, and unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever is the case, the majority of talent pool that is available to you is males. That also is showing that your way of approaching it cannot be in a fair way, right? Because this
True.
pool is already
True.
created where 20% is female and only and the rest 80% sitting are males. So by default you cannot be fair, right? Because you are going after skills and you are going after that pool that will match that mandate, right? So it becomes, so I think what is missing here in the whole gender diversity is what they call the broken rug, right? Which in order to achieve the top levels, you need to start from like tier one management of promotion, right? And it starts from
Yeah.
there so that it can gradually grow. so that that pool at
Mhm.
some point becomes normalized or equalized, so that you are able to then select fairly, right? Anyone based on their skill set rather than gender focus. But right now, that's not the case.
When I used to hear different industries, for example, whether there were schools, the hospitals, the hospitality industry, and stuff. So that is the area where I feel the
Female focus,
recruitment is done more for the females rather than the
right? Yeah,
males.
yeah.
So at the moment in this current situation, as you mentioned, that there shouldn't be any gender difference, right, when they're acquiring for the job. But currently, which industries do you see that both the opportunity can be availed by both male and female and they can be equal? So in Dubai, at the moment, which are the hot industries you feel female and male can apply together at the same time?
See, I mean, from what we have seen, I think male and female should apply together, right? But sometimes, in certain industries which are more creative, you
Hmm.
might require a female, right? In certain
Okay.
industries where, that there may be an eye for, let's say fashion or retail, maybe a woman can add some more flavors to that, right? So it's not so much about, can a man do it? Of course, a man can fully do it, right? But maybe because women are a bit more creative, I would say, and can manage, are better at multitasking. Sometimes for the high demand jobs, they can just, run it better. Like, let's say, will you hire an EA, like an executive assistant, a female or a male? Of course, you'll hire a female, not because you're trying to be gender biased, but because you know that a female will be able to like make your bookings, book your restaurants, get your kids from school, can manage all that, which a man, unfortunately, is not that type. I mean, without trying to be gender biased, right? So equally for some, industries like hospitality, they prefer sometimes in sales or in customer service, to be females, because it just, for the public eye becomes more pleasant. But then again, this is not to be gender biased. It's more like, what the customer dictates, right? And the customer at the end of the day is us, right? So this is, how I see it. I mean, there are some other industries like, for example, healthcare. You have both male and female nurses, right? But you are not going to send
Hmm.
female nurses in offshore rigs, you know.
Uh,
So you'll go
right.
for male nurses. So it all depends on like the context, right? But they both can do the job. They both will be great at the job. It's just about the environment that also dictates, which gender they'll favor.
True. So are you saying that the leadership roles can be played by both, but the female are more superior to the male?
No, that would be a very wrong assumption. I think that, definitely they can be played by both. I think, um, let's take the case of technology. Like today at leadership level, you have only 20% female sitting across the world in the tech companies. Um, or the
Mhm.
case of, Fortune 500, you only have 7% of female CEOs. We're talking America here, right? So we're not trying, like so which has been the pioneers, right, in starting this gender diversity card. And
Mhm.
with that in mind, also stats show us, and this is not me saying, but all the tech companies who have female leaderships, have better financial numbers. Okay,
I-
so
mhm.
whether that is to do with that women bring something which is extra to the table, um, it's possible. But this is not, this is not me saying, this is the facts saying that, if you compare, apple for apple, usually the women that are leading tech companies, they return 1.4 times more sales than their male counterparts, right? So How this is done, I don't know. Could it be that it is down to that is, emotional skill set? Could it be that it's down to that ability to multitask and cognitive skill set? Possible, right? But again, I'm not here to try and favor one versus the other. I think both men and women are great. It's all about a self-development and reaching out, to be the best version of you, right? So irrespective of your gender.
I was going through the website of your company, which is ERC International. Can you a little bit elaborate what does ERC stands for my followers so that they can
Sure,
connect with you? What does
sure.
ERC stand for?
So ERC stands for efficient, resourceful, connected, right? And that is basically the paradigms behind the company. As I mentioned, we currently are servicing around, clients, multinational clients, semi-government, government clients, family-owned businesses across 12 geographies. Whether we're sitting here and we're doing, mandates in Vietnam, or we're doing mandates, in Sri Lanka or Jordan. For us, it doesn't matter, or Faroe Islands. For us, it doesn't matter. We have also done worked on mandates in Cuba, sitting out of Dubai, right? So it's about being connected at the end of the day, and to do so in an efficient way, so that your customers stay with you and stay with you for the long run.
How easy it is for anyone to just simply approach ERC for recruitment purposes and just come over to the company and just hand over their CVs or meet people at the company to tell them that they're looking for the job. So how friendly approach ERC pursues and how they look up to the people who are just walking in to ERC for their solutions. How do you look up to that for?
Sure. So ERC, in a nutshell, works on mandates that are given by clients. So with that in mind, yes, we are supporting, anyone that comes our way. They can apply at info@erc-int.com. But ultimately, when you work on certain mandates and you have only a window of 48 hours to deliver to your clients, that becomes your priority, right? So yes, there are cases where we connect out of mandates, candidates that come our way, especially during these COVID times, that we try to help out. We know that the market, has been hit. A lot of people have lost their jobs, so we try to help out. But because of the nature of our business, our priority becomes the mandates that we currently hold and how to service those. However, we are definitely very open and very approachable. So you can reach us over LinkedIn. We are 24/7 on LinkedIn, each of the team members. So any of us will be there to support you guys.
This one last question I would like to add before I wrap up my
Sure.
session. That would be just, you mentioned earlier that you believe in the skill set, right? But again, if someone is coming to you directly for any solution, would you prefer looking up to by evaluating their resumes or their skill set? So uh, what type of assessment you would do on
Got it.
particular uh, a
So
candidate
this
who
would,
would like to?
yes, yes, I totally understand. So the moment we receive a mandate or a job description, we have, it's our, we are in a way forced to match 80% of what that job description stipulates, right? And that is purely based on technical skills that are required, whether that's educational driven or work experience driven, or very technical skills that are there. However, in addition to that, almost every company will require of you that the person they are hiring has great communication skills or has very
True.
strong interpersonal skills. So this becomes part, in a way, of your JD. I mean,
I
when we shortlist candidates, for sure, the main priority pool becomes the technical skills, but then there is the other layer, which is the communication skills and presentation skills, which are the qualitative skills, which matter just as much, right? And this is in a nutshell what builds in a great candidate. However, I believe that for every job, whoever comes on board will only carry 80% of transferable skills. The other 20 is built inside the job. So people have to, when they evaluate candidates, they have to keep that in mind that, there will be no perfect fit candidates, as such, because every company has got their own way of working, has, their
Of
own ethics, has their own
evaluating.
culture, right? So and it is new to that individual, so it has to be absorbed accordingly.
So before we wrap up our session, Ritjana, what special and motivational message you have for all the deserving candidates who would like to come forward and connect with you? What message and positive message you would like to put across to all the
Sure.
people out there and for my followers?
Sure. So my message to everyone today is, never stop learning. I mean, I have used personally this time to um, just acquire knowledge, but by nature, I am hungry and thirsty for knowledge, right? And we should never stop learning, even if we believe that we have reached our, glass ceiling in an area. There's so many areas that are undiscovered where we can gain skills and we can transfer these skills across to the next job, to the next employer, or to ourselves. If you decide to go and become an entrepreneur, or whatever it is in your cards to do.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much
my
for today's sessions. It was lovely connecting with you, and for everyone that follows, thank you so much. And I hope to be in touch with you later on, and we'll connect again for sure.
I wouldn't let you go before I acquire a shout out from Ritjana for my channel if she can promote and connect a lot of people in
Absolutely.
your sector, because I heard, if I'm not wrong, please correct me, that you have over 50,000 plus followers. Am I right?
Yes, probably more, but yes, absolutely. So I will definitely do
Everybody
that. Everybody should be following Mag Vlogs. So please, there will be more, interesting people coming through, and I'm sure the Masur is doing an amazing job in putting together this pool of talented people across the world.
Thank you once again for being a great guest and keep that smile on. So this was really an educated session and people to acquire and gain lots and lots of knowledge about HR solutions, recruitment, and how they should be connecting with Ritjana Ceveli all the way from Dubai, which she's doing a wonderful job under the flagship of CRC International. So everyone, before I leave, why don't you connect with her and just go and visit her website? And I mentioned all the details in the description area to connect with Ritjana and find the solutions for the job purposes. So we all need to look into solutions where we can help each other, connecting and help them find suitable
Absolutely.
jobs in different industries. So thank you so much once again. Please
Thank you
don't forget
so much, Masur. Thank you
to
so
like.
much for Mag Vlogs. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. So, guys, don't forget to subscribe, share, and like Mac Vlogs. I see you again in my next session with my next upcoming guest. Take care. Good evening. God bless you all. Take care.
Thank you.